You are now listening to Project XX Cast podcast series.
So what could cause antisocial behaviour in children?
Again, it's kind of similar about what causes it in general. There are so many things that can cause it, whether it be, somebody might be predisposed to developing antisocial behaviour disorder, for example, which is in their genes, or something may have happened to them. They might have suffered abuse. There isn't just one thing that causes it, a multitude of things, whether it's that they're being bullied at school and they decide to act out, whether it's something that they've seen modelled by parents, if their parents are involved in the criminal justice system, for example, or they don't have a positive role model, they're just going to see that as normal and they just don't even know that that's what they're doing wrong. Or it could be something as simple as boredom. They're looking for something to entertain themselves. There's so much to kind of say, what causes it. So many causes.
Things like internet trend, something that is probably we've all looked at one and thought that's funny, something that's gone on. But depending on what it is, the multitude of things where the propensity to be excited by clickbait, by things online that at ages that young people are at, where they're developing their own beliefs, their own structures, their own acceptability. They're looking at their peers. They're looking at people for examples, and that's not even going with that. Whether there was anything historically, as you said, in their family, or if there's anything medically. I have children myself, and I say to them, the internet is a wonderful place, and it's a bad place. It's a place full of wonder that can show you everything, and it's also a place that once it's on the internet, it stays on the internet. That's where this kind of behaviour, which goes from the street, goes from like a darker alley, goes to everyone in the world, and that's bizarre to me, because that never occurred when I was young. Whatever you did, whether it was a mistake or something, it stayed in the park, it stayed on that road. But now with the advent of that ability, rightly or wrongly, the world has to evolve, the world has to change. But I think just the understanding that that videoing nature of maybe in a trend or something that you're doing because you thought it was funny at the time, can lead to ramifications. And I just think there's a lot of education that needs to go on, and that's from everyone down, from the big media down to every single person who's involved, every adult who's involved. We all accept it and we all kind of understand it. Trying to start that ball rolling and stopping it occurring is probably the most difficult thing that this society where we live in at the moment is dealing with, to be honest.
I think the most important thing is we all got to remember we're human. We've got to start caring for each other. One of the most beautiful thing about, got to be careful how I say, when we had the lockdown, showing the community all coming together, everyone caring about the neighbours and caring that needs to keep on happening, kind of stuff. And we just got to keep it in a positive way. Everything Sam and Sergeant Dale said, it's what you got a voice in the youth. What's your opinion? How do you think you, as a young person, what would you say?
So you come together, like you said about the lockdown and the community. It's all nice. Like, it shows that you're more considerate people around you instead of causing a nuisance. So how can antisocial behaviour be prevented? There's
a couple of kind of roads you can go along, I suppose, here, and from my perspective, I as a police officer, I have to know the legislation that stands in and around it. I have to know it inside and out. I have to know where what is described to me, probably within 2 or 3 sentences. When somebody's describing an incident, I can tell you whether it's a legislation issue and it should be police led, or whether I'm not getting that, whether or not it's viable, whether it's experienced. Either way, it's something that the community safety partnership should be involved with. And the support and the enforcement can go hand in hand. So you can have, we have what is termed as a CMARIC meeting, which is a multi-agency risk assessment meeting, which involves multiple partners, and it will involve housing, it will involve mental health services, it will involve social services, it will involve the council, the police, all to come together to put their kind of opinion in on what is going on. And there's never ever a time where we're all just, it's that route, we're going this route, headlong into this route, and we'll never turn back and we'll never change. Sometimes, as I said, you jump massively into it. If it has to be police led and we have to deal with something because of risk, and because it's escalating, and potentially the risk far outweighs the support function will still be put in there. And by that I mean, if the individual who's doing something has never had the opportunity for counselling, never had the opportunity to speak to a peer or to just explain their behaviour, that has to go ahead. But they still have to be judged on what they're doing as well. So it can't be a get-out clause. Well, I need support. I need to, I need to be talk to people. And sometimes we will work very much. We're in massive partnership there. Where we'll say, okay, we will do this. We will do X as the police. We will enforce something at the lowest level, and we will monitor it, and we will look at it. And we will look what the community says and what the partners are saying, what's happening, how are they reacting to it. And then if they really, if it's a brick wall and they really don't want to listen, and they're not listening to myself when I'm explaining that, this route is not the route you want to be on. You don't want to be on the criminal justice route. It just don't. There's no real good that comes out of that other than you getting yourself into trouble. But you're having to accept that as well and stand, in front of a magistrate and explain. So there's never one route to this, and this is why I do enjoy massively doing my job and dealing with antisocial behaviour, because you can see the benefit of it. When you have resolved an issue to the benefit of not having to take somebody to the court, and they're okay and they're getting support they need, and then there's a victim that is saying, no, it's been okay, it's been all right. That respite for that individual, and potentially the perpetrator as well, can change their life. You can rather than it be myself dealing with the action of somebody committing a crime and just going through a motion where I'm a conduit for the criminal justice system to take somebody before the court for them to stand there and explain why they've behaved. Actually, what I'd like to do is actually not get there, and I'd like to deal with it, as human beings, as members of the community. I might wear a uniform, but at the end of the day, I'm a human. I can be just as much of a victim of ASB as anyone else. I might have a slightly thicker hide and a slightly, obviously, massive more understanding of what can go on. But if you could deal with those people and basically say, let's not go this route, let's not go the enforcement route, let's just not do it. But I would explain to anyone. So if example, having had to deal with an individual who was, a whirlwind of antisocial behaviour in terms of, 100+ calls just to the police, just to us, over a 2 to 3 month period, and just didn't care, does not care about it, but needs support, and she needed support, and she wasn't really getting it, and the place that she was positioned was not the best place for her. But we explained at every opportunity what was going on. We're explaining you, this is what happens here. This is why we're serving maybe, this piece of legislation. This is what we're going to do. And this is where it goes to. And at any point it can stop. So it's not a route that is, once say you're going down a hill, it's going to always get to court. And unfortunately for her, she eventually, her address was closed using closure powers. But to that effect, actually, it kind of forced her to get the correct help. And so from a negative a positive, I suppose, is the best way of saying it, which is, yes, she had to be removed because the community were affected so badly by her, and my, preserving the Queen's peace for me is my core function. So, I have to take that on board. And then with the community safety partnership, they have other, facets and other ideas that they have to link in with. But, I had to say to partners, whilst this is a negative for you, it's a positive for me, but it will, and it provided her with better care. So, those two routes, and we work, so closely with each other, with the councils, that sometimes, we're, maybe are sitting on one fence or the other. The police will, no, we need to do this, and maybe the council. But it could be vice versa as well, where we'll say, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to enforce against this person. You need to provide them with support, and you need to do it now, because the only reason it's getting to criminality is because they haven't got the support. And I'm quite happy to have those very frank discussions with people and stand my ground and say, no, the Metropolitan Police won't do certain things because it will be an easy path for you, because that's not right and that's not just, really.
When it comes to adults, I get support would be the best route, but also I think for the young people, one of the best routes would be education. it would be like enforcing that they understand these things from when they're back in school. So when they grow older, they understand both sides of the coin, like they understand both perspectives, like being in both shoes. So I'd definitely say a good route for young people would be like youth services, schools, and those types of people enforcing it.
And everything you said, I was going to just tell you what Resolve has said. This is from Resolve, who's done the week. They said early intervention is so important. Exactly what you said.
Yeah.
They're saying it's nationally 75% of ASB cases resolved at the first intervention. People like us as the council, we rely on Project X, positive kind of stuff, what they do with you guys. You need a place where you feel safe. Yeah. The crime is there, but we try to invest in Achieve for Children, Project X. These are there to achieve. So it's all these early interventions are so important. School, youth clubs, it's unfortunate some boroughs are losing it, but in Kingston, as I say, we're pushing it, and we want to talk, we want to make things better. I think like Broken Window Sam said, again, Kingston are looking how to make things better. We want your views to participate in things, as long as it's not harming anyone else in the community. So definitely early intervention is so important, and we've got to keep on working out and talking openly. And I think people like you, the youth voices, and young people can join the youth voice is really good. But if not, speak through the mentors and everything. Come to us, let us know your feelings. Sometimes it can be a bit daunting in a board meeting, but we're trying to make it a friendly meeting like this. But come and speak to us, and let us know what your feelings are. That's what I'll definitely say. But intervention's key.
And I think taking a holistic approach, is the best way, not dwelling on the negatives. If a young person has committed antisocial behaviour, don't blame and shame them for that, because they may not even know what they're doing is wrong. Try and look for the positives in it and develop it that way. And then it's all about education. If a young person has a positive place or a positive role model where they can go and they can speak to, then, it reduces them falling further into antisocial behaviour and being criminalised. Speaking to a young person, building rapport, figuring out what is going on for them, and finding out what can be put in place to help them. So it's just, for me, education is a massive part of prevention.
Adding on that, I think it's so easy for the line to be blurred, especially when you're a young person and it's not something that you're aware of in your household or at school or in the places that you should be aware of these things. I definitely do think education, and as well as like just people like not blaming them for it, but educating them on it, telling them what it means, why it means that, how to prevent it from happening another time. Also the things like how it makes someone feel, stuff as simple as that, so I definitely do think education is a big thing when it comes to young people. I think for adults, support would be the best way, but also for young people, support and education.
That's all the questions I had. Thanks for answering all of them. If you want to elaborate on anything.
I think the other thing I was going to say, speaking to public, we need to have those dialogues with you guys, and it's holding positive engagements. If that means find what young people like. Some young people like sports, some young people like art, music. Whatever way we can get through to you, we'll do it. And I always think, I did projects and where I've tried to do, I called it like the older people, I call the golden generation, and there's the normal generation, and then you've got the future generation. We need to do more as a community, partnership work with all three ages, so everyone feels like they've been heard. And, let the police come. The police are, the fight. It's changing that perspective about the police as well. Yeah. So we want you guys to have fun. Look, we were young as well, but as long as we're not harming no one kind of stuff, that's the main thing. That's just, it's for your own safety, there's rules then. That's what it's not just to make life bored for you people. I want young people to understand it's for everyone's safety and environment. There's sad things happen, but like there's rules like don't jump in the river, these kind of stuff. There's a safety reasons. It's not like we're just trying to say we want you to be safe and have fun, and that's the thing. So please engage. Tell us what you want. If you want something, open gym in the park, come and talk to us. We can look at doing the bidding with you, kind of guys. We can help you something.
Yeah, and that's what Project X
is good for.
Specialises in, like engaging young people in things like music, sports, gym, whatever it is, boxing, dance, cooking, as much as we can, so we can help them focus on the positives rather than negatives, take them out of situations where they could be in these situations and just put them into a more smoother route, more sailing ship, and help them get on. So I just want to say thank you, everybody, for taking part in this podcast. It's been amazing having each and every one of you here, being able to speak on your perspectives about ASB. I just want to say a big thank you, and thank you to Luke as well.
Give a round of
A
applause.
young person.
Just
go
the
on.
last word from me, kind of, just make sure that you are reporting anything if you're seeing it or experiencing it. We can't help you with anything unless we know about it. You've got the normal channels like 999 if it's an emergency, 101 if it's not, or we'll report it online. And you can also go to the Kingston Council website and report antisocial behaviour on there, and it will get dealt with through those channels as well. So there are lots of ways that you can deal with it and report it.
Thank you, everybody at home, for tuning into this podcast. The main thing, I guess, for today would be report it if you can. It doesn't take long to report it. Just make sure you speak up about it so you don't fall into a situation where your mental health does get bad, or, you go down the same route as everybody else that's causing you harm. So, yeah, thank you so much, guys.
You are now listening to Project XX Cast podcast series.